Hi. I don't know if I'm gonna keep trying to make random noises or random sounds at the beginning. I'm just having fun. Okay, leave me alone. I'm a little guy. It's not my birthday, but it might be. Uh, uh, anyways, I got another story for you today. Uh, with that last video I made yesterday of booby trapping, uh, this is like a similar concept, but I got a little bit older, but this is still before I could speak. So, in my childhood, my favorite numbers were 3 and 5. This is important. So, and I still hold those numbers close to my heart valiantly. And that's mostly because I was able to pull pretty impressive stunts when I was 3 and 5, but at that time it's just more of those were my favorite numbers and no one could convince me otherwise. So I when I was 5 years old, I basically, because I wasn't able to talk, I wasn't able to just go up to find other kids my age and befriend them and go socialize and play. Instead, I I feel like I commented a lot about this already, but I did things like watch movies and then reenact them to try to help me get like a aspect of trying to learn social surroundings. It, I know in some areas of the world it wouldn't work because they like purposely have it very outlandish compared to the real world, but I it was something that my parents did because it actually helped me and my brother be able to get better at communicating. And my another big thing, my family had a computer and they used it a lot, so they got their money's worth, but this is like back in early 2000s, so it wasn't as remarkable with its advancements as well as today. And back then, they didn't have that much focus on social security until Facebook came back around. And uh, I wasn't even able to get Facebook for a long time, but that's another story. I not able to speak when my parents and my older brother wasn't using the computer, like would rush up to it, try to like understand it and work with it. And this is before I found out about webkins and technically the internet. So I was just basically going over like the well, boring for a kid, I guess you could call it. The section of just learning, trying to understand the code, not getting it at all because it's basically a whole nother language that you kind of had to learn, and I didn't understand it or learn it at that time. So I dropped that topic, but just trying to learn and understand the computer because my family was so interested in it. I gotta see what this is about. That 5-year-old me. And I was able to figure out how to put in a password. My parents didn't know. Or that's what little me thought. My parents didn't know how to do this. My brother didn't know how to do this. I found this out. Oh, this is going to be great. It's going to be amazing. And I, in excitement, took one of my mom's fancy, it's like a colored pencil, but it feels like a crayon when you like draw with it. And it's the fancy type where you pull, like it has a string with it, and you pull on it, and it takes off a layer of like the thin wood on it. and then reveals more of the like crayon pencil material on the inside. Absolutely love this thing because the whole concept felt so cool to me, especially with the feeling of the pencil wood, and then seeing like you tear slightly and it like like a whole circle comes out. Didn't I was like basically I was also a big I should explain. I'm a big visual learner, so seeing that like I was learning and understanding it and loved it, and then I also loved using it. But my mom, it was her thing. It was her item that she was very passionate about because it is a really cool a pet. I don't know if I should call it a marker or not a marker. I don't know if I should call it a pencil or a crayon because it's basically a pencil and how it functions, but it like when you use it, it acts like a crayon more. So I'm just gonna call it pencil. Uh, this pencil was very close to her, and she used it for like writing down her notes. And I basically was having a little bit of a rebellious streak, and I took it and I went underneath our table. We had a wooden table, pretty small table that was just a circle and had four normal stumps. I went under, and it's like it's section like it's just two pieces that you put together, and there's metals underneath it to connect it, and then it works. And little me snuck underneath the table, and when I was in my teen years, I was convinced I did this when I was 3 years old because it could have either been 3 or 5, as those were my favorite numbers. But now thinking about it, and my dad kept trying to convince me, no, you did this when you were 5, and it was because of part of the password of what it was. But I was like, no, absolutely not. I could have been 3, I could have been 5. But now thinking about it, 3-year-old me would not be able to stretch out my arm far enough to be able to write. It looks like the bird's trying to gang up on the cat. Give me a moment. They're not diving for the cat. We'll be fine. Okay, so my arms reached up with the pencil, wrote and big, like across the whole table, J, insert rest of the name, 5. And I was so proud. I could not have been prouder of the fact that I wrote this name. I wrote it down. I wrote the password down, which even though it's literally my name, and then added 5, and just wrote it down just for a safety measure. I was so proud that I was able to figure out how to put in a password and to be able to basically I was like, what's the word for it? I can't even remember. I was basically blocking out everyone else from being able to use the computer but me. But I was just so proud that I was able to do it that I just was like, oh yeah. And then I properly set it up. Computer now set into the computer now had a password. Later in the day, my parents needing to use the computer goes over to the computer, and it's my dad particularly that goes over to it, and it's like, Mom. My mom goes, yeah. And dad goes, do you remember setting in a password to the computer? Mom goes, what? They both go over and they see like the little section, and it says password, and then at the bottom there's like a hint thing. So you try to click on the hint thing to figure out what the hint was. I don't even remember. They don't remember. But they said that the hint was basically meant nothing to them. So now they're freaking out, and they're looking around for any clue of possibly why it's like this. They tried to talk with me and my brother about, like, hey, did one of you guys change the password? And we can't talk. So I'm just like, I'm like, I did. I was such a goody two shoes, but also, okay, when I was able to talk, I became like a goody two shoes. But when it came to not being able to talk, I feel like I was quite a bit of a rascal, actually, and basically was able to get away with it because I have a huge disability, and at that time it was considered so severe that I would have to get that people thought I should have been sent out to like the ward and not been a part of society. So I got a lot of slack, and my parents kept trying to talk, trying to reason with me of like, hey, do you know what the password is? We need help getting in, and so on and so forth. And I think I led them to the table. They don't remember, they don't, when they recall the story to me or the rest of the family, they don't say that I did it. But knowing me, I feel like I was the one that showed them to the table. They saw the words underneath the table because at first they were confused on why I was showing them the table because they already looked on top of the table and everything. And then they found out underneath that there was just huge written in red, J, insert rest of name, 5. And they put it in, and sure enough, it worked. And they're like, okay, we're gonna need to change the password now. We don't want to automatically take it off for this to happen again, but we need to change the password now. So that, yeah. And from there on out, I think they're a bit more better with their computer, so I could be able to pull anything off, and we got restricted in our capabilities. I did not think that far ahead, so I was upset. But I I don't blame them, and I get it. So, yeah. Uh if you like this story, like, subscribe so you could hear more, and I will let you go. Bye.